What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host, Vernon. This is the Las Vegas Creek. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, this is going to be one of my Viva Las Vegas videos here for the Las Vegas Creek, or the spot I usually call Lava Butte. Now, we do know that down in these waters we do have some carp and some catfish, some sunfish, and I will be throwing out the rod for one of them, but my main focus for today is going to be trying to find some bass. But before we get down there and start fishing, there are a few things I would like to mention. And the first one would be how to get to this particular spot. Now, if you go on the North Shore Road and you go past Lake Las Vegas, you will find this little bridge you see here. Just once you pass that bridge, you will find a turnoff to the Wetlands Trail. That is where you park. You can either take the little hiking trail. It can be a little bit of a very difficult climb, especially after some rains or anything. But there is also a big access road you can take. Now, with that, I would like to point out that this little bridge here, this is the first space that you are allowed to fish. From here on out, downwards, from this bridge all the way east to Lake Mead, you are allowed to fish. You're not allowed to fish on the western side of this bridge, especially on the other side of Lake Las Vegas. The creek there and the wetlands are protected. You're not allowed to fish there. This is the first spot you're allowed to fish. And being in the Lake Mead recreational area, the Lake Mead rules apply, meaning you're not allowed to use 3 hooks. You're only allowed to use 2. And the last thing I want to mention, which is actually very important, these waters are reclaimed waters. All of the waters in Las Vegas that goes down a drain, that gets chemically treated and released through the wetlands, and it joins with some urban runoff, and that's the water we have behind us. That just means this water has a lot of nutrients, so it's a lot of algae, a lot of bacteria, and that means this water can be harmful to certain people. But it just means that I would not recommend keeping any fish you catch in these waters, especially with the urban runoff. We're talking about some PFAS and microplastics. That's something you cannot get rid of, so I would not take any fish from this spot. But with that, I'm going to pack light today. I'm going to grab a few things and we get down to the creek to start fishing. Alright, so we made it to the spot we're going to be fishing today. I already have the one pole out there. That's just some night crawlers on a Carolina rig. That's going to be washing around in the current. Got that on automatic hook setter. It's good that the current does not set off the automatic hook setter. It has to be a fish that pulls on it. Otherwise that thing will be popping off the entire time every time it tugs on it. But that's not how it works. It has to be a proper tag from a fish before that little hook setter will go off. We're going to be moving that around, seeing where the fish are. But like I said, that's just because I'm allowed a second rod. My focus, however, is going to be trying to find some bass. I'm going to start off with some jig heads, cast around, see if I can find out where the fish are, and then maybe move over to some small Med rigs and stuff like that, seeing what fish we can get. Now, the first thing I did notice about this particular spot, it's already a bit different from the last time I fished out here. Right here in front of us, we used to have a deep bank, where now it's just a shallow flat into the deeper water out there, and there's a new little island. But I'm seeing a lot of small fish and a lot of bugs. That's a good sign. So I'm going to be casting around looking for the fish. I'll bring you guys to any action. And the automatic hook setter went off. Only had one cast with my other rod. Let's see if there's anything on there, or whether it's just some weeds and stuff that got stuck on it. And indeed, whenever you have debris in the water, that might catch your line, and that can be, there's enough debris on it, enough to set off the line. But let's get it back out there, see if we can find the fish. Alright, ladies and gents, it's taken about 50 minutes, covering quite a lot of water. We finally have a little fish. Still using a little jig, but I put on some night crawlers. It looks like the plastics aren't getting hits. Put on a little piece of night crawler, and we got a tiny little channel catfish. Let's quickly get that guy out of the water. This is only 4-pound test line, but he's not that big. Like I said, we're hoping for bass, but this particular spot does not look too bassy today. Still trying to figure out where the fish are. Lovely little spots on this guy. Let's get him back to the water. Now again, have to be very cautious of the spines on both these fins and the back there. You don't want to get spined, they are poisonous. So I'm not going to put him into the water, just going to release him quickly. And off he goes. Swimming around, looking for a place to hide. And there he goes, back to the deeper waters. Now the problem I'm finding, like I said, we have a lot of new land. A lot of the places where these fish tend to hide are all covered up with dirt. So these fish maybe have moved to different places. That's why I'm also moving around, looking to see if I can find where the fish are hiding at the moment. But we might have to give up on this spot, maybe try a different spot. Alright, ladies and gents, different spot. Been throwing around a Ned rig for a while. Haven't had any hits, and finally we get something. It feels to be a good fish. But like I said, this is on the Ned rig, so you'd think it's bass, but it can be anything. In these creeks, any little thing will go for something that looks like to be an easy meal. And in fact, it does look like a little channel catfish. And there we go, channel catfish caught on Ned rig. Not what you'd expect to get on a little Ned rig. Our second little fish for today, another little channel catfish. This one is a lot bigger than the first one, also has a big belly on him. He's been feeding pretty well. I don't think he needs Ned rigs, but clearly he wants to be fattened up for something. But he's splashing around quite a lot, so let's get him back to the water. And off he goes. It's nice and dark, you can see him swimming into the deep water. But that's our second little fish landed, little channel catfish on Ned rig. I'm moving around trying to find spots where I think bass would be, and we happen to get a channel catfish. Alright, ladies and gents, I've now managed to hook and lose 2 tiny little bass. And I have to say, the first one I hooked, that was by accident. I threw out this little lure and I wasn't happy with the cast, so I started reeling in fast. And that's when the little bass hit. And the second one, I thought maybe a fast retrieve is the thing to do. And I just managed to hook another one, but that came off by the time I had the little camera on. So now I'm going to leave the camera on for a while, cast around, see if we maybe can get a take on camera and maybe land a fish. Like I said, the important thing It was a fast retrieve, not a slow retrieve. This entire time I've been doing rather slow retrieves in the water, thinking that the water is moving fast, so it will make the lure even faster. But it seems that the fast retrieve is what's needed. Of course, it's also very important for the hooks not to be wrapped around the little lure. And I am also in between the reeds here, so I don't have a lot of casting space. And there we go, finally. Nope, it's not a bass, it's another tiny channel catfish. Been swapping to different lures, didn't get any further hits. Went back to the night crawler. We got our third little channel cat, the smallest for the day. Got a proper grip on him so he doesn't spine me. We're just gonna drop him back into the water. This is catfish number 5. This is catfish number 9. Alright, and this is fish number 12. So fish number 12, that's now the 10th fish from this exact hole. Let's see if we can make it a baker's dozen. And there we are, number 13. And number 20, once again, bigger channel catfish. I'm catching quite a lot of smaller ones. But for our 20th fish today, we get a nice decent channel catfish again. And there we are. I said we'll get some bass today. Didn't think I'd forget. There's our little bass. Not the biggest little bass, but happy to get a bass at least. This is now our 26th fish for the day, meaning I caught 26 fish today, this little bass being the last one. Alright, so goal achieved of getting a bass. Probably my last little fish here from Las Vegas Creek. Tiny little largemouth bass. And off he goes. Alright, ladies and gents, I happened to get 26 fish out there. Yes, only that one little fish is a bass. All of the others were channel catfish. And in the beginning of the video I said I'm going out there looking for bass. And I really did try for some bass out there today. But you simply need to understand, when the fishing's good, it's hard to put down the rod when you're constantly catching fish. And to be honest, in the Vegas heat, these night crawlers, they never last that long. So I didn't want them to go to waste. That's why I spend a little bit more time with the night crawlers and got quite a lot of catfish. But even if I haven't caught that little bass, I still would have considered this a success. These Viva Las Vegas videos, they're not for catching specific fish. They're more of a celebration for the particular spots and the fishing in general. And that's the point. I had fun out there. And that is why I also do love the little Las Vegas Creek. If you have a look at my history, whenever I have one or two skunked videos, I normally make my way out to the creek, because this is one of the places where you're kind of always guaranteed to find fish if you find the deep holes. In winter time, these fish won't be going into deep waters. They're going to the deep waters, but the deep waters are still pretty accessible, and that makes it just a little bit easier to catch the fish. Another thing we need to remember, this is fast moving water, meaning the baits move past the fish rather quickly. They don't have time to look at the lure and decide whether they want it or not, so they're quite eager. They go for it first time they see it coming past. As far as where the deep holes are, well, that changes every once in a while. After every rainstorm, after every rock slide, these holes, they tend to change. Where I started this morning, there was a deep hole, not a deep hole anymore. So you're gonna have to walk around, find these deep holes. I mean, of the 26 fish I caught out there today, 23 of them was in one such a hole. So find the holes, find the fish. Please show your appreciation for the Las Vegas Creek by leaving a little thumbs up on this video. Feel free to ask any questions down below in the comments. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, consider doing so, hitting the big red subscribe button. Alright guys, but thank you for watching, and like always, see you next time.